Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning to Eric, my partner in crime.
Hi, Sukru. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah. I mean, given what happened over the weekend, in Sacramento, I'm just kind of, yeah. I don't know what to say. It's yeah, disturbed. Um, just feel really, 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 really terrible for people who have been affected. Um, yeah, so I guess people outside of California who may not have heard, we had a mass shooting early morning of Sunday around 2 a.m. In Sacramento near the
It's
capital.
actually just been a little more than 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah. So six people, I think so far, six people have been killed. Uh, Last I read, 12 injured. I don't know
Injured.
what their statuses are, but yeah.
We were going to just do a quick moment of silence in memory and in solidarity with our deceased victims up north, east of here. Why don't we go ahead and stay silent for a minute? Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
I will let Sukru, on that note, there's something else going on in Sacramento on Saturday.
Yes. Thank you, Eric. And I feel like now it's too late, but I just feel like I should have pulled up the information. But um, as a lot of you probably know, like Eric and I both are Red Berets, healthcare justice activists, network of healthcare justice activists and organizers nationwide, who promote solidarity amongst healthcare justice activists, organizers, and across movements. So Red Berets this weekend, it's very, very, very important special weekend for us because Scott and Anna Dinoyer in New York State, fellow Red Berets, lost their son on April 9th, 2019. Danny Dinoyer, he drove himself into the Mohawk River because he was denied an access to the antipsychosis medication he was on, and because of that pain that caused him, he committed suicide. So Scott and Anna Denoyer and a bunch of people will be having a rally in Amherst, New York, in front of Fidelis building. That's the insurer and management company who manages New York Medicaid program, and they are the one who denied Danny his insurance, and suspended his insurance over a $20 payment that he accidentally missed. So bunch of us across the nation Red Berets are hosting solidarity event, and California event happens to be well, I'm hosting it, and happens to be in Sacramento. Unfortunately, in the very area where, or very near the area, the mass shooting took place. So we are, taking extra precautions. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, so that's what's happening this weekend. Protests, I mean, rallies are various times, depending on locations. But New York one, I believe it's from 2 p.m. In Amherst, New York, in front of Federalist Building. And California, in Sacramento, west steps of the Capitol, the state capitol, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And there's a solidarity event in Tacoma, Washington. I think it's the same time, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. And Hi Brandy, actually, Brandy in Arkansas is hosting a solidarity event in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And also there's a New York, Albany, yeah, Albany, New York, and New York City events as well. So, yeah.
Awesome. So I hope that you are able to come out and join the Red Berets in our various solidarity events, because everyone's life, I should say, is a lot worth a lot more than $20, and especially in the wealthiest country on earth, no one should lose their life over a $20 missed payment.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and the important part of this action is especially the main action, and across the nation, we have so each, like, California event has California demands as well, but nationwide we have a demand that we are making to Father Reverend Patrick Frawley, who is a founder of Federalist, and he later sold his company Federalist to Centene, another managed care giant, for $3.75 billion. And Reverend Frawley became a senior VP of social responsibility for that company. So we are demanding, Father Frawley, if he's a man of God, he should resign from his post immediately and join us in the movement for healthcare justice. He should join us and devote his life advocating for healthcare for all. So that's our demand. That's our nationwide, unified demand. So that's the important part that I kind of forgot to talk about. So
It's kind of I don't know, conflict of interest, conflict of faith, conflict of morals to be a priest who works on the corporate board of a healthcare giant.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Okay.
I would think so. I just, yeah, no, it shocks me. I mean, okay, yeah, somebody pointing out, I guess they don't really make a vow of, what is it, like, okay, so, I actually kind of wrote a letter to him, to Father Frawley over the weekend, because I grew up in a half Catholic household, and my aunt who is a nun, and my
Oh,
mom,
really? Your aunt was a nun?
yeah, Catholic nun.
Wow. I did
And
not know
so
that.
yeah, from like real, I'm from like, my half of my family at least is like from old Catholic family. So, but I mean, anyway, their thing always, even though I don't agree with everything that they say, of course, but it was always about this like idea of noble poverty. You serve God, so you are not attached to this like material, idea of like material wealth. You
That's
know,
what I thought, that you take a vow of poverty when you join the priesthood or when you join.
I guess they apparently don't anymore, but yeah. Anyway, so
Well, that is a somewhat of a lead into our first topic today, our first story about
Yep.
how New York State failed to provide legally required mental health care to kids. There is a pending lawsuit going on right now, and in the picture there, you'll see she is the commissioner, the New York State Department of Health Commissioner Mary Bassett, and then in the far right, you'll see then Governor Cuomo. I don't know who this guy in the middle is, but he looks kind of familiar. But anyway, um, not a bad leading from Scott's story into this one about the need for mental health. And it is kind of shocking that a state as large as New York would be the one that failed to provide mental health care
Yeah.
to their kids. And in some cases, kids who multiple times had suicide attempts could not get the care that they needed. And this is just another reason, just another example of why we need to remove the profit incentive from our healthcare system, because there should not be any incentive, or there shouldn't be any reason to deny anybody care on the basis of whether or not they have insurance, or basis of whether or not they can afford the care. It should just be a right. As a matter of
Right.
fact, I mean, not to go too off topic, but it's like this would actually end up saving money overall, having a single payer healthcare system that's free at the point of,
Mm.
service.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and okay, so what actually bothers me? I mean, okay, everything bothers me. Everything about this article bothers me. But one thing is okay. So expanding this a little bit, I'm sure this is not an isolated case in New York. I mean, okay, New York case is being magnified because it's so bad. But I
Okay.
think Medicaid, programs are, across the nation kind of badly managed. I think, like including California. I'm sorry to say because I've experienced it myself. Okay, granted they do some things well, I'm sure, but what should I put it? I mean, how should I put it? Okay, so in this article they talk about the wait times, right? I mean, they have to wait forever for the care that they need. And that's
Which
what
is,
happens. That's what's happening here too in California because of quote unquote lack of resources, that are given to medical institutions, that are in the program. But I mean, okay, I think we talked about this, Eric. It's the state government has resources. It's a matter of allocation.
yeah,
So for them to say like, oh, we don't have resources enough to like give people timely care, that's just ridiculous to me. Um,
it just really goes to show how low they place a value on human life.
mm, yeah, yeah. Like so, like in this article, they talk about. So in principle, okay. So I'm sure I'm not like using the right terminology, but okay. So there's a case of like this one kid, right? Who
Mm-hmm.
was in a sort of a institution, because like he has very serious mental health issues. So he was in institution, but he was sent home because in principle it's better, especially for young people, to get care at where they are, such as like their home or their school,
School.
like where they are naturally are, right?
Yeah.
In principle I agree with that. I think it's a good thinking. But when they can't provide it though, what drives me crazy is that like they kind of they sort of pretend that they can, and they have this like beautiful program, that they present, on the in the front, but then they can't provide it. So yeah, that drives me crazy. That happens here too in California. So
But yeah, then I mean, not last but not certainly not least, when it's something as when it's something like mental health, like literally every second, every minute matters, when you're
mm,
dealing with, people that are potentially suicidal and that are experiencing mental health problems. Every second, every minute matters. There's no time for bureaucracy when you're dealing, when you're
right,
dealing
right.
with somebody who has hurt themselves or could be a threat to themselves.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
Um, just a
yeah,
huge like you said, misallocation of resources.
yeah. I mean, it made me so sad because like this, in the article, again, well, there's this case of like a young person, and I think towards the very end of the article, the mother says like, well, it's too late for him, but
Maybe this could
her
save somebody
speaking up
else.
like may change the situation for others, and that's just so sad to me because it's like, I mean, basically we ruined this young person's life, right? I mean, okay, maybe ruined is a too strong a word, but she's right though. The mother's right because
Mhm.
like it was, the when you are at that age, you are at that age. It's very important, for the care to be provided, so that first of all, the person can have like a social life, right? Because they are in a developmental stage, as a person too. So it's important for young people to be able to go to school and carry on life, so that um, you know um, yeah. But it's just so sad to me that like he basically lost like 3 years with life. I mean, I was shocked that this, he was like, he's practically waiting for 3 years, right? I mean,
Which
it's
goes
just,
back to this conversation around economics. It's like it's actually, better economically to get this person the care that they need as quickly as possible, so then you can have them, not healed but in a stable position, and then, get them back into society. Isn't that the end goal? I know I don't in any way want to diminish anybody's mental health circumstances as somebody who has suffered with mental health issues myself, right? But it's just so what's even the term to describe this? Yeah, sure, it's frustrating, but it's neglect. It's so unprofessionally the way that this is handled. It would be so much better if you just followed the protocol rather than try to rip off people, and have no
mm,
value for life at the beginning. It'll be interesting to see where this lawsuit goes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, again, I just hope that this like motivate to for other states to look into like their Medicaid programs as well. I mean, okay, having said that, I have mixed feelings about this because I know Medicaid programs like do some things well, and actually I have a friend who is advocating for the expansion of like Medicaid program, which is necessary at this point because we don't have Medicare for all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, a lot of mixed feelings because of how mismanaged a lot of programs are. So
Well, it doesn't completely lead into our next story, but whenever I think of mental health, inevitably, my mind starts to go towards the direction of LGBTQ and their mental youth and their mental health, because so many of us deal with our own mental health issues. But this is actually something a little lighter, because we don't want to make today just one big downer. And I thought this was so clever and like dare I say it, hilarious. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we
You want to
all
read it?
okay. I'd love to read the letter in just a second, but I just wanted to say, like, we've got here the picture of the jackass, pardon my French, in Florida signing this bill. And I mean, you want to laugh, but it's like this guy very well could be running for president very soon, and
Mm,
he just has the audacity to be sitting there with a bunch of kids. But anyway, the way that the teachers turned this around, because as we know, this "Don't Say Gay" bill just puts in all these ridiculous and, to be quite practically, unneeded restrictions
mm,
on what you can and can't teach in the classroom. So there were lots of teachers that were very worried about this. Like, they don't want to get sued or lose their jobs over something ridiculous. So they found a way to combat this. And I thought it was incredibly clever. So I'm going to read the letter that
mm.
some teachers are sending out to the parents of their kids, to some of their parents, right? If you wanted to. So, dear Florida parent or caretaker, the Florida House of Representatives has recently ruled that classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. To be in accordance with this policy, I will no longer be referring to your student with gendered pronouns. All students will be referred to as they or them. I will no longer use a gendered title such as Mr. or Mrs. or make any references to my husband or wife in the classroom. From now on, I will be using the non-gendered title mix. Furthermore, I will be removing all books or instruction which refer to a person being a mother, father, husband, or wife, as these are gender identities that may also allude to sexual orientation. Needless to say, all books which refer to a character as he or she will also be removed from the classroom. If you have any concerns about this policy, please feel free to contact your local congressperson. Thank you, Mix. Whatever their name.
This is hilarious. Good for the person. I don't know, good for them. Yeah.
Hey, this is what you wanted, isn't it? Like, come on.
Exactly. Stop complaining. And they're like, oh no, these
This
like,
isn't
yeah,
what we
anyway.
meant. But isn't it though?
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah. Oh, by the way, okay, so I'm thinking, okay, what kind of gender non-conforming person am I? Not to know like how to pronounce that MX. Now you clarified it for me. I was like,
Yeah.
that was like my
So
outstanding question. Like how do you pronounce that? Yeah. So
my mom is a teacher's aide, and she said that like back a few months ago that term was being used, and here in San Francisco we're going to use it first, right? So she's like, people are going to some teachers have adopted this gender non-conforming title, and I was interested. I was like, how do they say it? And she said mix. And so I was like, okay,
interesting. Okay.
it's interesting, because I mean it does beg the question that if we're no longer he, she, they, them, and we're starting to adopt like more gender neutral terms, well, teachers, that's pretty gendered, right? The way we
Yeah.
usually refer to our teachers.
I know, Brandy. The letter's
Isn't
awesome.
it great? I can just see those, like, I don't know, Republicans squirming in their seats. It was a group called, what was this group called? Moms for Liberty.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
this is the liberty, okay? Like, Moms for Liberty. This is what you
Yeah.
asked
Yeah.
for. And the thing is, like, come on, I'm a teacher. I don't want to get sued. So this is what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah. That'll be
I-
interesting though. Like, okay, so this part of teachers removing all the books that refer to the characters as he or she, right? What kind of books are left? I mean, I just, I think it's hilarious. Like there will be no books in the classroom.
No books in the classroom, like except you're gonna have to get special books from somebody that
Right.
only writes books with gender neutral pronouns.
Okay. Okay, I'm like kind of getting off topic, but okay, so I went to missionary school, right? In high school, in the junior high, senior high. So I had Bible studies. So back then, we were like rewriting Bibles. I mean, at least in Japan, because like we were like changing the terminology that's kind of offensive to like for instance like disabled people. So we were like doing and what we did was like we had to sit down in the Bible lesson, like few hours a week or maybe like 1 hour a week, and like our teacher was telling us like, okay, page 236, go to like paragraph one and scratch, like erase the word, and then write underneath what it is, like what's the correct terminologies. So yeah, maybe we have to do that.
Wait,
Like
wait, wait,
scratch up.
wait. I'm so fascinated. I never did that in church. Like, so
No, we
this was
did.
Sunday school for you?
No, it was in my junior high. I think junior high or senior high because I went to missionary school, so we had a Bible
Okay.
studies. Yeah,
And part of your Bible study was like rephrasing certain terms?
yeah, because I think it was going on in like Japanese churches nationwide. I mean, Japanese like the Christian churches.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We couldn't say certain words anymore, such as like
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's so interesting.
Like we couldn't say crippled. That's probably
Real
here too. But yeah, so yeah, we had to like rewrite. Um,
Oh, because that I mean it's offensive.
yeah, you know,
Is crip is crip oh, I guess that is offensive.
you know.
Like I would never say that in English. Wow. I guess I don't know, man. I grew up with the Bible, right? It was so I was such made such a regular presence, like whether it was verses or my dad went to Bible college. There was always
Oh
some
wow.
Bible reference,
Yeah.
and then I don't know, after I committed myself to going to hell, I
I was saying what, like
or
coming out or what?
I don't I should I start listing like
All right. Okay, so Brandy wants that letter, Eric. I
okay,
mean,
why
I
don't
guess I can send it to you. I mean,
no,
Brandy.
I'll drop the link to the article
Oh yeah.
in the
Awesome.
chat.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah, and then the letter is in that article.
Mm, yeah. Um, Michelle's loving it too. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna
everyone loves
okay.
it.
It's actually on Twitter, so that's probably be an easier way for people to access
Mm,
it.
yeah.
Here, let me do
You
that.
know what? Actually, okay. So let me just kind of go back. Okay, so
Oh,
people like dropping some comments.
I can't
That's
post in the
actually this is
comments.
like the story before previous story, but Lana was saying, exactly. She was referring to your comment, I think, Eric.
Mhm.
Yeah. Prevention is worth a pound of cure. Yes, yeah, I
Wait,
agree.
Sukru, so I
Yes.
posted it in our chat, and then can you add it to the comments? Because I can't
Oh,
add it to the comments for some
I
reason.
think so. Hold on.
Oh, maybe because I'm not logged in. I'm just using this.
See, let me just do this. Post comment.
Oh, there
Yeah.
we go. Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So there it is on Twitter.
Right. And also, Holly said about the previous story, prevention is treatment. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. Um,
Before we went off
so
on that whole tangent about
yeah.
living
Oh,
and
but you know
growing
what?
up in
I actually wanted to say one more thing though. So this is what bothers me about when people say in Japan too, but here in Japan, both. So like people are so against, teaching their kids about
oh god.
say homosexuality, right? you
Yep.
know what bothers me though, okay, so that is like reducing okay, some people may not be, some people probably like maybe like more over the top than what I think, but it's like, okay, so being gay is not just about sex, okay, frankly. Some of us, okay, if you go into that, some of us may not even have sex, right? But but we are gay. So it's not, being gay is not about like just about sex. So it's like, for them saying that like, oh, you can't talk about, homosexual at school, they're reducing us to just, this, you
Mhm.
know, yeah.
And that's a very common attack that conserve. I mean, shouldn't say just conservatives, but like the religious groups, etc., use against the LGBTQ community. They accuse us of being over sexualized and pride. I remember pride was always referred to as as a very sexual event. And even though I grew up in San Francisco, I was never allowed to go to Pride. So my first Pride
Mm,
was, when was it? I've only gone to like, I want to say maybe this will be my fifth Pride. Like I haven't been going
mm,
to Prides for very long, ever since I came out publicly when I was 24. So yeah, it hasn't even been 5 years. And ever since then, I definitely make it a point to go to at least a Pride once a
mm,
year. Um, I particularly when you're religious, you're taught that you should be so ashamed, and that I literally grew up learning that being queer was a disease. That's how I was taught. Like my parents lived during the AIDS epidemic, which was something
mm,
that I never had much concept of, but I just remember them making that reference, right? That
mm,
like people in their church or whatever, like they knew all these people who were dying right and left of HIV, and that was because they were these sinful, horrible gay people, right? That were deserving of hell. So
mm,
you grew up with all of that, and then you realize that you're queer, and then it's like, oh my god, I gotta carry this secret with me to the grave. And then you realize, no, I can't do that. Like I'm not gonna you know live the rest of my life being um ashamed of myself. And then you finally go to Pride, and you realize that if anything, this is a family event. Like that's how I
mm,
would describe Pride. Sure, there are a whole, like with everything, there are whole different subsects. And
mm,
I guess maybe this is just my personal opinion, but I I think that Pride, like the actual day, um, like the Sunday, there's always like a few days before, and they always have different celebrations. I think that people should remain clothed, because I think it
mm,
should be an event that kids should should feel comfortable coming out to, young children. And generally, I have seen that the community tends to respect it that way. Generally,
mm,
that's what I have seen. But anyway, not to go off on this huge tangent, but I'm really glad that you made that point, Sukru, because it is almost not only reducing our community just to being sexual, but that is something in particular that our main event, which is Pride, which is an event that we use to be happy, and that we're used
mm,
to be proud of who we are, and recognize how far we've come, how far we still have to go. Even that is reduced to a purely sexual event, which really bothers me. And I'm
right,
glad
right.
you mentioned
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I mean, so like in the article, what it, or don't say gay bill. So the common argument that people say, and some people kind of become convinced because of that argument, is that, oh, but they are so young, kindergarten to third grade. Why are we talking about sex to them? Calm down. It's about sex. It's about
Nobody's
love.
talking about sex.
Yeah,
It's
no,
saying
who we
very
love.
simply,
You know,
right.
just like you talk about you and your husband, whatever, parents loving each other, and you don't censor that. We talk about that, right? I mean, why
But
don't we
but
talk about?
also, like, we have a ways to go until we have a gay president, but it's like, there's cabinet members that are LGBTQ. Like, that is something that good old boy in the White House has, he has given a lot of representation in his cabinet, got to give him that. Um, and I, to an extent, it's almost just like you're just so incredibly ignorant, that we're living in a world where, yes, people across the spectrum exist, and this is quite frankly something that kids should be taught about
Yep.
at a young age. I certainly wasn't. I think
Mm,
you're doing your kids a huge disservice. You're not being
right,
honest
right.
with
And
them
also
right now.
like my friend, Noah, who is a mental health professional. I mean, the point he was making too, like because there are kids who are gay, in the
Mm-hmm.
classroom, and for them, uh, growing up not hearing about themselves in the classroom and only like
Right.
hearing about you know, um, heterosexuality. I mean, that really is damaging to their mental health because they feel so isolated that um, yeah, it's like they are treated as if they don't exist, and it's not
Right.
good. There are plenty of kids who are being victimized because of the silence that we forced upon we force upon schools and classrooms. So
When I
anyway,
was
yeah.
taking health ed class in the ninth grade, my freshman year of high school, which it's a part of their curriculum, and they try to get you to take it in ninth grade, but you can't take it any of those 4 years of high school, which I think it's a little ridiculous. But I remember my parents had the option of signing up to have me removed from the sessions where they talked about these certain things,
Oh.
and I
Hmm.
think that was really detrimental, actually.
Hmm. Oh
But
wow.
yeah,
Hmm.
anyway,
Hmm.
and that was
Oh,
here in San
Brandy, thank you
Francisco.
for the comment. Yeah, she's saying the town she went to high school, in Arkansas, has up 3 diversity pride weekends a year. Oh wow,
That's great.
my
I'm
great,
so glad to
yeah,
hear that.
yeah. Yeah, now I'm like, I'm very curious about Arkansas. I want to go visit Brandy and Ava, because I've never been there. Anyway, okay. So I guess we gotta go to our next story. Hold on, like, where's the slide? There we go. Okay. So yeah, I don't want to say it's my favorite topic, but being an anti-nuke activist, it's very important to me. So yeah, the Congress is already blowing a key chance to reform nuclear weapons policy. Okay, this article was taken from where? I forgot. Let's see.
From
Hold
The
on.
Intercept.
Intercept. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. So yeah, this was Intercept article. Oh, hold on. Oh, okay. I updated my slide, but I guess I have to remove this to show you. Okay, hold on.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Take a second. But
Yeah.
I mean, not only in preparation for talking about this story, I was also looking up like what's the current status of
Mm,
nuclear warfare, given that there's this whole situation going on in Ukraine. And apparently, we asked. Okay, I'm not a nuclear war expert by any
mm.
means, but am I understanding this correctly? That we asked Poland if they could store some nuclear weapons for us?
Okay,
Is
so
that
Eric,
what I understand?
believe it or not, that's a standard practice of the United States. It's called the sharing. Okay, we share. We share.
Oh
And,
my
and
god!
okay, I'm gonna follow your trend, Eric. Excuse my French, but like the stupid former Prime Minister of Japan, Mr. Abe, right after the conflict between Ukraine and Russia started, he had to come out and say, "Oh, maybe we should join the sharing program." we should share the nuclear weapons with the United States, meaning that let's house the nuclear weapon, the United States nuclear weapon, on the Japanese soil. And I was furious. Yeah, yeah, I know. It's just horrendous to me. But yeah, anyway, it's
See, this is,
we with
oh my God.
allies, yeah, with allies we share,
This is what
Eric,
I
because
think people
sharing is
don't
caring.
realize. This is what I like. I really think people don't realize that it's like we're not we're not like the best country that's everybody's savior. Like, no, we have all these little spots all around the world where it's like you don't mess with us because we got that on your property, dude. And then, okay, hold on. So, and then I read something about how, wait, we're going a 17% increase, right?
Yep.
In nuclear weapons.
50.9 billion whopping dollars with
And
Biden's budget.
and they tell us we can't get healthcare, but we'll put that to the side for a second. And then what? It's like something like 2/3 goes to private weapons manufacturers, right? Or
Yeah,
private defense
contractors, defense
contractors.
contractors. Yep.
And Congress, at least half of Congress, is invested in private
Oh yeah,
defense
yeah.
contractors.
Because
So
like
it's just,
healthcare, okay,
so it's just
here's the
this.
sad reality of this
Oh my
country. So I
God!
call it the sickness and death industries, right? So healthcare, the military, defense contractor war industry is a evergreen industry in this country. Evergreen, because like you invest in it, there's no chance of have growth being stopped or growth declining. It's a
That
growing industry.
that was
It's
the third.
evergreen.
No. By 20, hold on. If I understand correctly, something I was reading another piece of news because I'm sorry, but like the third link down there was talking about investment advice, and I'm curious. If I
Hmm.
understand correctly, by 2030, nuclear stocks or nuclear affiliated stocks are expected to jump like 70%. If I read that correctly, I
I
could be
believe
wrong
that.
about
Sadly, I believe that because okay, and I'm assuming they're talking about like nukes, not only as in weapons but nuclear power.
that. Oh, I
So okay,
didn't even think about that. Oh my.
yeah, okay. Sadly,
Ah,
like Mr.
oh
Bill
boy.
Gates. Bill Gates is a huge supporter of nuclear power generation, right? Because he invests in it himself, and he claims
Sorry, I
that we have
shouldn't be
a new
laughing.
technology that's that's a different technology which is like more, I don't know. They don't say safer, I don't think, because that's a lie. I mean, if they say that, that would be flat out
They're
lie. But that's like
liars.
more efficient, I guess.
Efficient.
Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
except for all the big piles of waste that you're just hoarding that get
exactly.
leached into
Yeah.
the freaking water that we drink, and then sometimes they cause the oh my God, we didn't learn anything from Chernobyl. We
Yeah. I
didn't
mean,
learn anything from
don't get me started
Fukushima.
because it's like
Right, I know. This is
yeah,
your turn.
no,
This is your turf, I know.
no, but like yeah. So you know, yeah. Anyway, yeah.
So
Let's
this
just
this
talk
is
about
the
this first. So let's talk
invention.
about this first because
Oh
if I
yeah,
start
yeah,
talking about
yeah.
nuclear power
Yeah,
plant,
let's
power
actually get the
generation, it's
story
so
out.
anyway, yeah. As Eric pointed out, though, what drives me crazy is so Biden really is no better than Trump, right? Actually, he is worse in a lot of different things. So nuclear is one of them. So his budget is $50.9 billion, which is 17% increase over this year. So because we are talking about next year's budget, so um, so people are really people love saying things like, "Oh, but Trump started this and that." Well, he did that. He did. Yeah. Trump did do that. Trump started. For instance, okay, in this article, they talk about low yield nuclear weapons. Okay, Trump
There's no such thing.
started talking about that because his claim was like, because that makes it easier to use nuclear weapons if it's low yield. When they say low yield, they are talking about what they dropped in Nagasaki and Hiroshima, because modern bombs are way more powerful than that. It's like 80 times more powerful than Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So practically, you can't really use these weapons, because if you do, it's the end of the world. But so his claim, Trump's claim was like, oh, if we make low yield weapons, we can use it, right? So Trump started to advocate for investing in low yield nuclear weapons. But I mean, I think Biden continues with that trend, right?
Yep.
It's just that we don't really talk about what he's doing, because we are so we especially like Democrats are so busy talking about what Trump did wrong. So
Well, in
anyway,
some cases, Biden has expanded the things that Trump started. So he didn't just continue it, he expanded it. And you know what? Here's another thing. Wasn't it Trump that gave stimulus checks? Did Biden give a single damn stimulus check in his entire presidency? I'm just saying.
right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The people who continue to push this thing that Trump was worse and we're so much better under Biden, with all due respect, are some kind of privilege, because I'm not going to say what I said earlier. Anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead, Tsukuru.
So basically, okay, so what, for the rest of the time that we have here, what I wanted people to know, people to know was, so there's this thing called nuclear posture review that kind of happens in like once in a decade. So Biden just did that, nuclear posture review. So what it means is like, it's like exactly what it sounds like. So we review once in a while, once in a decade or so, we review our nuclear policy. And that's what Biden just did. I think he has completed, his share of posture review. And then there's this commission that's, congressional commission that once again reviews nuclear policy of this country and like makes recommendations. However, two things is like very wrong. Two things are very wrong about this commission thing. That's why like that's what this article is referring to. So one, as I said, Biden's review is already done. So they're kind of like doing it after the fact. So that's one kind of ridiculous thing. Two, and this is kind of like a major point of this article, this commission is really made up of like a bunch of people who have connections to nuclear industry, defense contractors. Yeah, okay, there are like just a few, like very, few individuals that are sort of like more towards like anti-nuke, or kind of cautious, people who look at who favor cautious approach. But for the most part, majority of this commission consists of people who are pro nuclear weapons. So it kind of seems like they just like created this commission just to to justify that we are spending more money on nukes and strengthening our nuclear program. I mean, this is a fallacy. This is a circus, guys. I mean, it's like it's just not legitimate.
Wait, Sukru, let me ask you, because I have the expert in the room. So the United States is in fact not the country with the largest stockpiles of nuclear weapons?
We have
Or
tons
are we?
already.
No, but I'm
We have tons
saying,
already.
isn't there like some kind of, pecking order who has the most?
Okay. Number wise, Russia has the
Yeah.
most, but I mean, we are close. Like we are close second. And also, okay, so here's our claim, right? I mean, when we say like, because okay, so this started in Trump era, by again, and Biden continues the trend and actually expands the trend to say like, okay, we have to modernize our nuclear weapons. You know,
What does
it's like
that
we are
mean?
not keeping up with the technology, and we always use the excuses that we
Oh
use
my
always is like China,
God.
Russia. It's like look at these countries like Russia and China. They're updating their weapons. We should update them as well, right? Yeah.
So, okay, so then what's the order after that? Who's
I think
behind
China
us?
is like really distant third because they have something like 350. Like we are in
Who is a
thousands though.
distant
So it's like yeah,
who's a
we're like
distant third?
4,000, whatever, but
Who did you say was a distant third?
China.
Oh, China. I missed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean
So
it's
it's
like way distant. Yeah. It's like yeah, yeah. Because we have thousands of nuclear weapons, or I mean with nuclear warheads. They have 350 or so something.
okay.
You know.
And every time they say modernize, that's just an excuse to just start building more
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
they're always like I have I guess I'm so uneducated about this, but it's like nuclear weapons, it's the type of thing that like you're always going to keep building them because it's like you got to be the country with the most, right? Or
Yeah,
you
because
got to
it's like a
stay.
game of chicken, right? You know, essentially. It's like a game of chicken. It's like okay, so we have to have them so that like we can deter, our countries from attacking us, which is a really like fraud
But these are
logic.
really super dangerous things that nobody should have to begin with, right? Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
we should be
yeah.
de-escalating this, but no, we're gonna keep building. Oh my god. I
Mm-mm.
got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Let me just read this article a little bit because, like, I just want to, because I did explain it, but I just want to give people the picture of like how ridiculous this commission, so-called commission is. Okay, so rather than soliciting independent scientific analysis, the commission's review will instead be entirely in the hands of its 12 members. To lead the group, the highest ranking Democrats and Republicans on the House and Senate Armed Services Committees each got 2 picks, and each party's leader in the 2 chambers got 1. So far, all except the choice of House Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy uh, have been announced. So Senator James Inhofe, I guess, ranking member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, selected 2 people with deep ties in the defense industry. Former Republican Senator John Kyle of Arizona has lobbied for Northrop Grumman, yeah, huge contractor, the main contractor for the
Got
new
it.
B-21 bomber and ICBM system. And Qualcomm, an information technology vendor for the Defense Department, lobbying records show. He's also a standard hawk. Blah blah blah. Okay, so and yeah, this continues. Like Inhofe's other pick, Lisa Gordon Haggerty, is an executive at Westinghouse Electric. Yeah, another
You don't
government contractor.
say.
Yes, working on nuclear energy projects. During the previous administration, she was appointed head of the Energy Department's National Nuclear Security Administration by former President Donald Trump. So the appointment of retired General John Hyten. Okay, I'm very bad eyes by Senate Armed Services Committee Chair Jack Reed looms large over the commission. Hyten was the head of U.S. Strategic Command, which oversees the U.S. Nuclear arsenal,
Oh my
and then
god.
vice chair of the Joint Chief of Staff until November 2021. During this time, he was an outspoken advocate of maintaining the nuclear triad, the three-pronged layout of the U.S. nuclear force posture, consisting of land-based missiles, ICBMs, submarines, and bomber aircraft. Hyten also promoted the replacement program for the current ICBM system, meeting with Northrop Grumman last year to find ways to bring down the new version's cost, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. So other pick, Madeleine Creedon, is a former National Nuclear Security Administration official who now runs the Green Marble Group, which is a consulting company. Okay, I lost that, but yeah, she's a head of consulting company. So she has like a direct business interest. Okay, I'm not gonna bore you, but anyway, yeah, read this article in the. This is what.
But it looks like across the board, Republicans and Democrats both picked people with deep ties to the defense
Yes,
industry.
who
Of
has
course
the
they did.
direct or either direct or indirect business ties to defense contractors.
This is
So
disgusting.
yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
Mm.
Where are the
Anyway,
majority of nuclear weapons made in the US?
oh, that's a very good question.
Or are they not made in the
I
US?
don't think it's, yeah, that's probably a classified information. So I don't really know, but yeah, no, yeah, I feel very, very pessimistic actually in terms of like nuclear weapons. I mean, I am an anti-nuke activist and advocate, so I'm not gonna stop advocating for like abolishing nuclear weapons, but I just don't think it's gonna happen in my lifetime. Although I am more pessimistic about maybe we can at least like reduce like nuclear power plants because like you said, a lot of people are starting to realize like the waste issues. We really do not have a solution to nuclear waste. And now Japan is trying to release the or planning to release the wastewater from Fukushima Daiichi plant into the Pacific Ocean, which can't be a good thing, because the Fukushima radiation has reached the U.S. shores, like West Coast. So,
Is
yeah.
there any method, like how do you get rid of nuclear weapons? Like how do you dispose of them? Is there a safe method for doing that?
Safe methods. I mean, at this point, there's really nothing to break it down, right? So it's like the thing that we do is like for instance like San Onofre, which has been a huge issue in like Southern California because the plant itself is decommissioned, but they've been practically burying nuclear waste. They first like put it into this canister, right, which is by
Mhm.
the way like not even like 1 inch thick, like thin canister. And what they do at the in San Onofre is like they are burying it like on the beach, within 100 feet of the shoreline, where a lot of surfers are. That's a very popular destination for surfers, San Onofre. But that's what they're doing. So
Oh my
um,
god.
yeah, it's been a huge issue. Like local people are suing and launching lawsuit for the right reasons, but anyway, yeah, so answering your question, yeah, we really do not have a solution. I hear that they are developing technologies to break down the nuclear waste so that it can be safely disposed, but right now there's no such thing. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well,
All right, so it's 11 o'clock. On that note,
on that
on that
note,
happy
folks, have a wonderful week, and
right.
we will see you next week.
Okay, thank you so much everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Eric.
Thank you too, Sue.